as the music throbbed through the crowded venue, signaling the onset of yet another raucous student gathering. The spring air hung thick and clammy. The soft glow of the dim lamps intertwined with the twinkling fairy lights, creating an ambience that was at once enchanting and slightly disreputable. In a quiet corner, Elise, a petite first-year student, observed with wide hazel eyes and unruly curls as the tumult unfolded around her. As she consented to attend the gathering with a few companions from her English literature class, she found herself surrounded by a sea of unfamiliar faces, her friends seemingly lost in the crowd. This left her feeling quite adrift. She borrowed the crimson dress from a friend who assured her it would be ideal for an evening like this. It marked a significant departure from her usual attire. It embraced her contours, accentuating her slender silhouette. The admiring gazes from the other guests at the party left her feeling vulnerable. Elise typically donned attire that blended into the background, yet this evening she yearned to shed her reticence, if only for a fleeting few hours. "What brings you here alone, lovely lady?" Elise's senses jolted as a resonant voice sliced through the melody. She pivoted, her gaze landing on a young man whose striking blue eyes sparkled with life, framed by tousled brown hair that seemed to dance in the breeze. His rugged features lent him an undeniable charm, particularly accentuated by the mischievous grin that perpetually graced his lips. Elise recognized him immediately. It was Cole, her brother through the bonds of marriage. The man's undeniable charm frequently captivated her, yet it also had a way of grating on her nerves. 2 years ago, fate intertwined their lives as a family when their parents united in marriage. This transformation altered the course of their lives in ways they had never envisioned. Cole exuded an air of boldness, often crossing the line into rudeness, whereas Elise possessed a serene quietude. He frequently found himself entangled in both mischief and the spotlight simultaneously. As time passed, the dynamics of their relationship evolved in an unusual manner. They would exchange playful banter, engage in passionate disputes, and experience moments when the line between sibling affection and something deeper blurred intriguingly. She responded, "Hey Cole." Though her voice struggled to cut through the din of the music, the same question could be posed to you. "Isn't it a bit beneath you to attend a gathering meant for freshmen?" He chuckled, his eyes sparkling with playful mischief. "Elise, you are aware of my identity. Your age does not define you." Indulged in the finest spirits, I felt compelled to inspect the offerings. As he spoke, Elise stole furtive glances of them reflected in a nearby mirror. They bore a striking resemblance, their dark, unruly hair framing faces adorned with eyes of a matching hue. This thought had crossed her mind on multiple occasions, each time stirring a sense of unease within her. She dismissed her thoughts and remarked, "A dry campus isn't quite my style, and I seriously doubt anyone has confused you for a wide-eyed youth. You're somewhat of a character." Her speech faltered as she searched for the perfect word. Cole remarked, "Scruffy." He swept his fingers through his hair, causing it to spike up even further. "A touch of madness. Feel free to express it, sis. I will not allow myself to be wounded." In his eyes one could discern a glimmer of laughter intertwined with an unmistakable challenge. "Elise, I was going to say captivating," she whispered, her heart racing as she contemplated the weight of her words. A group of Cole's friends meandered past, and one of them managed to slur a greeting in their direction. "Greetings, Maddox." I have been expressing that to her throughout the night. Nevertheless, she possesses a stubborn streak and remains unwilling to express it. In a playful moment, another friend nudged Cole, nearly causing him to lose his drink, resulting in quite the ruckus. "What is happening?" the friend inquired, though his words tumbled out in a muddled haze. "Isn't it clear that the two of you are perfectly suited for each other? At last, the perfect match. Kindly secure a private space." The group erupted in laughter, and Elise could sense the warmth of her cheeks flushing a vivid red. Cole's grip on her intensified, and she couldn't overlook the warmth radiating from his body against her side. "Ignore them," he murmured to her, his voice low and intimate. In their inebriated state, they have a tendency to utter the most foolish remarks. She raised her gaze to him, and for a fleeting instant their eyes locked. She averted her gaze swiftly, a tumult of emotions swirling within her. Elise took great pride in her uniqueness, standing apart from the other girls who were infatuated with her stepbrother. Yet this evening, with the alcohol lingering near him, she found herself uncertain of her next move. Elise and Cole remained inseparable at the party, drawn to one another as if by an invisible force. Could it have been the influence of alcohol that forged this hidden bond? Or was there something deeper lurking beneath the surface? Something lingered in the shadows, patiently awaiting discovery. Elise had always possessed a keen awareness of the perceptions others held of her. Her petite stature and fragile features drew the gaze of many, yet tonight, she sensed a distinct kind of power, an allure that transcended her youth. As she sat across from Cole in the car, her fingers gently traced the contours of her inner thigh. It was a purposeful caress, embodying a blend of innocence and allure. She understood that the red dress, rumpled from the night's escapades, revealed more than it concealed. The alluring presentation captivated attention profoundly. The aroma of leather seats intertwined with his cologne, evoking the warm sense of fresh cinnamon and sandalwood, fragrances that danced in her mind whenever he crossed her thoughts. In the soft glow, his chiseled jawline emerged boldly, illuminated by the flickering light of passing street lamps, accentuating his striking profile. His vivid blue eyes darted between the road and her, a dance of focus and curiosity. The smirk that played on his lips masked the tautness coiled within him. He hesitated, searching for the perfect word, his gaze drifting to her legs, illuminated by the soft glow of the dashboard light. They possessed a slender form, glimmering with a golden hue. Unable to resist, Elise's gaze remained fixed on him, her hand ascending slowly, pausing momentarily to tantalize him just before achieving her aim. "That's me, the unstoppable force, and you," her voice lowered to a sultry whisper, an unyielding presence. He swallowed, and his Adam's apple rose and fell with a subtle motion. She felt a swell of pride at having elicited such a candid response from a man who exuded confidence. He confessed in a gravelly tone that he wasn't as rigid in his beliefs at this moment. Her melodic laughter floated through the atmosphere, a striking juxtaposition to the vibrant energy that surged between them. As she leaned forward, her dark curls cascaded around them, enveloping them like a soft curtain. He caught her scent, a blend of her perfume intertwined with the subtle aroma of spilled party drinks. "Hello, Elise, what are you currently engaged in?" Despite the sternness in his tone, he made no move to halt her as she ventured further, placing fate and righteousness in jeopardy. As her fingers glided over the delicate lace of her underwear, his gaze ignited with longing. She gazed at him, appreciating the way his striking features revealed the struggle between desire and restraint. She paused, her breath catching as emotion surged unexpectedly. "I'm just testing your courage," she remarked, her tone unwavering despite the tremors within her. "Or is it merely a performance?" Cole's fingers curled firmly around the steering wheel. The skin on his knuckles faded to a ghostly hue. "Elise, you're aware that I'm not fond of playing games." With a swift motion, she bridged the distance that lay between them. He sensed her lips brush against his, yet it was merely a fleeting whisper of a kiss. It ignited a desire for something greater in both of them. "Cole, reveal it. Demonstrate your courage to me." He immediately responded, placing his free hand on her cheek and tenderly caressing her jawline with his thumb. His fingers glided along the curve of her lower lip, a wordless entreaty hanging in the air. Then with a fervent, lingering kiss he seized hers. As Elise perched upon his shoulders, she sensed the night lingering on his tongue. The beer, the subtle scent of cigarettes, and the lingering sweetness that embodied Cole. As she pulled away from the kiss, laughter erupted from her, leaving her breathless. She experienced a surge of untamed vitality. "There was a singular truth in your words. That was truly courageous." He exhaled gradually, his gaze revealing a blend of yearning and uncertainty. "I simply wish to tread carefully with Elise." She silenced him with a gentle touch of her finger against his lips. "Please refrain from speaking further, Cole. Let us simply embrace the unfolding of the night ahead." With each passing mile, the twists and jolts of the road heightened her anxiety. The atmosphere inside the vehicle had become dense with unvoiced aspirations and dreams. She found herself questioning whether he could sense the rhythm of her heart, or if her labored breaths harmonized with his own. As the city lights flickered in the background of the serene car, Elise's wavering confidence blossomed into something more profound. It transcended mere rule-breaking. It was a matter of surrendering to a profound, inescapable bond with a man to whom she felt inexplicably attracted. As Cole brought the car to a stop, a fleeting sadness washed over Elise, for the thrilling journey had come to an end. She gazed at him, and in that moment, She perceived the tempest swirling within his eyes. She sensed that the night still held secrets yet to be unveiled. Stepping out of the car, she felt her heart race, a tumultuous blend of anxiety and exhilaration coursing through her veins as she prepared to confront the unknown that awaited. Elise typically settled into her morning routine with a generous cup of robust coffee following a night of revelry, and today was no exception. Entering the kitchen proved challenging for her. As the rhythm of the party's music continued to thrum in her head, Cole had arrived ahead of time. The robust aroma of freshly brewed coffee intertwined with the earthy, invigorating scent of his morning shower. His damp hair tumbled effortlessly over his forehead, accentuating his striking features. He murmured a greeting, but his voice was gravelly from slumber. He filled a coffee mug and slid it across the counter toward her. "Hello," Elise said, her voice raspy and worn. "Thank you." Cradling the steaming ceramic mug in her hands, she felt its warmth seep into her palms. The rich warmth of the coffee cascaded down her throat with every sip, transforming the recollections of the previous night's escapades into something sweeter. Cole rested against the counter, arms crossed, his gaze fixed on her with such intensity that she instinctively tightened her hold on the coffee mug. He remarked, laced with a touch of sarcasm, "You seem to have gotten quite a bit of rest." As he gazed directly into her eyes, a smile crept across her face, tinged with a hint of self-consciousness. "Would you concur that it was an exceptional evening?" Her voice resonated with strength, urging him to recall the unspoken truths woven into their conversations. His eyes narrowed slightly, a flicker of something intense crossing his face before he averted his gaze. Indeed it was. In those 4 words lay an unvoiced comprehension, a subtle acknowledgement of the tension that had been simmering between them merely hours prior. Now that she had finally begun to act on the desire she had harbored for so long, Elise was certainly not one to rest idly. In the days that followed, Elise made every effort to capture Cole's gaze. She shed her customary attire and opted for delicate tank tops instead. The fabric clung to her form, revealing a subtle glimpse of her curves with each movement. Her shorts were so brief that they offered little room for speculation. She relished the awareness that her stepbrother's gaze often found its way to her, even if only for a fleeting moment. One afternoon, as they lounged in the living room, Elise took her time to stretch gracefully while rising from her seat. Her tank top lifted slightly, revealing her bare midriff to Cole. She strolled deliberately to the fridge, pausing as she leaned down to retrieve a drink, ensuring her back was elegantly arched to accentuate her curves. From the couch, Cole's voice cut through the silence, yet Elise remained oblivious to his words. With a smirk playing on her lips, she gradually shut the fridge door, holding his gaze, her eyes glimmering with a hint of defiance. On yet another day, Elise returned home from the store, her arms laden with an abundance of shopping bags. Cole lounged on the couch, flicking through the TV channels with a casual air. The tank top lifted gracefully, revealing her smooth, sun-kissed skin as she placed the bags down. As she pivoted to confront him, she noticed his gaze lingering on her exposed skin for a fleeting instant before it darted away, a hint of guilt shadowing his expression. "Seeking assistance?" As she inquired, a playful lilt danced in her voice, and her finger gestured toward the couch, subtly highlighting the length of her legs. He swiftly averted his gaze, a faint flush creeping onto his cheeks. "I appreciate your concern. I'm doing well, thank you. It's truly wonderful to reunite with you once more. You spend time with your friends constantly." In his voice, Elise detected a trace of jealousy, a possessiveness that piqued her curiosity. As she approached him, the distance that once separated them diminished. "Today I find myself not collaborating with them." She gazed into his eyes, a soft purr escaping her lips. He cast a fleeting glance at her form, his gaze lingering on her legs for a moment longer than was appropriate before he finally averted his eyes. "Just don't overwork yourself helping me," he quipped, attempting to ease the palpable tension that had settled in the air. She chuckled gently, her fingers brushing against his hand as she glided past. A mere touch ignited a spark within them, awakening a profound sense of vitality. As she ascended the stairs, she remarked, "I'll remember that." The unmistakable sound of Cole's shower beginning shortly thereafter. The sultry moments in the shower would have to be postponed for the time being. Elise allowed the dance of seduction to unfold at its own leisurely rhythm, each moment layering upon the previous one until their most profound yearnings could no longer be contained. Elise glided through the house, a sly grin playing on her lips as memories of the earlier event in the living room danced in her mind. The delicate interplay of allure she had been orchestrating with Cole was growing ever more fervent. With every step they drew nearer to the precipice, a place she both dreaded and yearned to confront. She placed the freshly purchased fruits upon the kitchen counter, her ears attuned to the subtle sounds around her. The rhythmic cascade of water from Cole's shower above quickened her pulse. A thrill coursed through her as the memory of his sculpted physique, glistening with droplets of water, flooded her mind. This image had trailed her relentlessly ever since the incident in the bathroom. With a sense of resolve, she ran her fingers through her slightly damp hair, remnants of the outside humidity lingering in its strands. With deliberate steps, she made her way to the bathroom, her heart pounding in her chest as thoughts of the impending encounter swirled in her mind. The carpeted stairs muffled the sound of her bare feet. As she approached the bathroom door, the curtain of steam billowing from beneath it brushed against her face, offering a tantalizing glimpse of the warmth that awaited her inside. Elise shut her eyes briefly, inhaling the warm, fragrant air that carried the familiar scent of Cole's shampoo and soap. As she opened her eyes, the vivid image of Cole's glistening, sculpted physique lingered in her thoughts. With a steadying inhale, she pushed the door open. As Elise stepped into the bathroom, Cole's startled scream reverberated against the tiled walls of the shower. "Hello, Elise. How are you today?" Within the confines of the modest chamber, her laughter emerged softly, a sound that danced with intention, both sinuous and alluring, crafted to entice and captivate. "I stand ready to assist you should you require it." He gazed at her, his eyes widening, deepening in hue as tension coursed through his body. The water cascaded over his powerful form, highlighting the striking juxtaposition of his defined angles and gentle contours. "Why didn't you hold off until I finished my shower?" His tone of voice conveyed an unmistakable sense of anger. Elise's gaze was drawn repeatedly to the trail of droplets cascading over his shoulders, gliding down his chest and stomach, only to vanish beneath the mist. "I trust you are aware." Cole, the anticipation became too much to bear. Her deep, resonant voice conveyed the essence of her message. A vast wall of silence stretched between them, heavy with unvoiced longings and the rhythmic sound of the shower cascading down. The enchantment shattered as Cole at last mustered the courage to clear his throat. "That is incorrect. This is utterly astonishing. There exists a step-sibling in our family." Elise completed the task for him, and as she moved nearer to savor the warmth radiating from his form, her gaze remained locked on his. "Cole, yet we are also adults. Have you ever pondered what it might be like?" His eyes fluttered closed, as though he wished to avoid the sight of her poised before him, a siren extending a proposition that was both delicate and unmistakable. He spoke in a gravelly tone. "You know, I've often pondered, but it's—" Elise interrupted him, her fingers gently halting his words. She leaned in, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's okay." The warmth of her body lingered tantalizingly close to his. "I understand. Your perspective resonates with me." He swallowed, and the movement of his Adam's apple was unmistakable. He murmured in a way that defied convention, "This was not meant to occur." He extended his hand to push her away, yet it lingered just above her skin, trembling. "What's stopping us?" she inquired, leaning closer, her lips almost brushing against his. Her voice floated softly, scarcely rising above a whisper. "We are two grown individuals, irresistibly pulled toward one another, yearning to be together." Cole's hold on the shower controls tightened. The crisp sound of the temperature dial sliced through the stillness, as he struggled to contain his body's response to her allure. "What happens if we cannot halt?" He managed to grasp hers, his gaze wide and unblinking. She murmured softly, "Perhaps we ought to reconsider." Her lips pressed together, the words escaping in a whisper, barely audible to the ear. With a swift motion, she stepped back, transforming the surrounding spray of water into a barrier once more. The sultry mist clung to her skin as she pivoted to depart, her fingers curling around the door handle. "Elise, wait a moment!" Cole shouted, his voice raspy, infused with a blend of joy and yearning. She halted her steps, yet refrained from turning around. Her hand hesitated on the doorknob, her heart pounding with a tumultuous blend of fear, desire, and exhilaration. As he continued, An unrefined vulnerability seeped into his voice. I cannot, it simply isn't appropriate. Elise withdrew her hand from the door, pivoting away from him as she began to speak. Her voice remained unwavering, despite the tumult of emotions swirling within her. Cole, I understand your perspective, but I can't pretend that it isn't the reality. Do not anticipate that I will intervene when the moment arrives and you find yourself unable to do so. I refuse to apologize for my emotions. With those words, she opened the door and quietly exited the steamy bathroom, escaping the intensity of her stepbrother's gaze. As she lingered outside Cole's room, the delicate fabric of her nightgown brushed softly against her skin, a gentle reminder of the night's stillness. She was unable to contain her breath, overwhelmed by excitement. The door stood ajar, allowing a cool breeze to sweep in, carrying with it the subtle scent of Cole's cologne. As Elise swung the door ajar and peered into the moonlit room, her heart raced with anticipation. With measured breaths, Cole's exposed torso rose and fell as he reclined on his side. His hair was tousled from sleep, cascading across his forehead in disarray. This softened the severity of his features. Is that you, Cole? The silence enveloped the room, so profound that even her whispers seemed to fade into the stillness. As his eyes fluttered open, the soft glow illuminated the striking blue of his irises, making them shimmer with an ethereal quality. Elise? The unmistakable tone of astonishment lingered in his voice, yet he remained silent. He reclined with his arms folded behind his head, nearly lying flat on his back. What seems to be the issue? She paused, contemplating as she lingered at the foot of the bed, her fingers nervously twisting the hem of her nightgown. Simply, unable to find rest. Her words scarcely concealed the true sentiments she longed to express. He gazed at her in the dim glow, his eyes tracing the contours of her legs, illuminated by the soft, silvery light streaming through the window. Very well then. His demeanor and inflection revealed a readiness and willingness to surrender. He beckoned to the space beside him, a gentle invitation in his gesture. As Elise settled onto the bed, her heart raced with anticipation. Cole's body heat lingered in the sheets, creating a warmth that enveloped her. The air was infused with a spicy, masculine scent that intertwined with her perfume, crafting an intimate atmosphere. Are you familiar with Elise? Cole started speaking softly. Feel free to share whatever thoughts you have swirling in your mind. Her hand glided forward, as though guided by an unseen force, and intertwined with his. Their fingers wove together in a manner both familiar and fraught with tension. Cole, sometimes words fall short of expressing what you truly feel. They locked eyes, and the gravity of their unvoiced thoughts, desires, and inquiries hung thick in the air. The stillness enveloped them, punctuated only by the rhythmic crescendo of their heavy breathing, growing louder with each passing moment. With a measured slowness that sent a shiver down Cole's spine, Elise leaned in and brushed her lips against his in a gentle, ephemeral manner that conveyed so much more than words ever could. His breath hitched as she withdrew, her hand slipping beneath the sheet, fingers seeking the warmth of his desire that had been simmering throughout the day. Cole inhaled sharply, his surprise evident at her bravery, yet he remained still, unwilling to intervene. His body stiffened at her touch. She encircled him with her fingers, initiating a languid, torturous rhythm that compelled him to arch his back into her touch, his head tilting back, exposing a throat that was taut and raw. Elise, you do not. His voice faltered, teeth gritted, overwhelmed by the sheer ecstasy she was bestowing upon him. She murmured, reveal. With her free hand, she traced the defined contour of his jaw, her thumb grazing his slightly parted lips. I shall undertake this for you. Her movements were deliberate, each step a testament to her purpose and intent. Her touch was delicate yet resolute, a playful investigation that elicited groans and tremors from him as he struggled to remain composed. At the precipice, she quickened her pace and murmured, Cole, release your grip. Warm whispers brushed against his ear. His conclusion was brutal, and when she reached out to him, his body trembled, releasing a ragged cry. Following that moment, silence enveloped them both. His fingers intertwined with hers, yet her hands remained firmly wrapped around his. In that fleeting instant, they found themselves completely immersed. As the evening unfolded, the only sounds that filled the air were the gentle whisper of the sheets and the rhythmic ticking of the clock. As Elise broke free from Cole's hold, a heavy sigh of disappointment escaped his lips. His eyes bore the weight of joy intertwined with lingering uncertainties. As she rose, the sheet slipped down, revealing her slender silhouette. "You occupied my thoughts to such an extent that sleep eluded me." Her gentle voice conveyed a message while simultaneously expressing an apology. Once she had turned away, silence enveloped the space, leaving him alone with his tumultuous emotions and the lingering trace of her fragrance in the air. As she glided down the hallway, silence enveloped her every step. Her heart raced, a tumultuous blend of guilt, excitement, and an intoxicating sense of power that both frightened and exhilarated her. She quietly returned to the familiar embrace of her own bed. The recollection of his touch, the flavor of his kiss, and the echo of his unrestrained delight lingered in her thoughts. Within her thoughts, the initial contours of a scheme started to emerge. It resembled a game, yet she alone understood the rules. She intended to continue playing until it arrived at its astonishing and gratifying conclusion. With the dawn breaking and light streaming through the curtains, Elise sensed a newfound sense of purpose awakening within her. Immediately, her thoughts turned to Cole. She sensed the warmth of his skin pressed against hers, the flavor of his breath lingering in the air, and the way his body surrendered to her caress. She extended her limbs languidly, a gradual smile unfurling on her lips, as she contemplated the forthcoming move in the intricate ballet of allure she had embarked upon. Descending the stairs, her bare feet lingered on the soft carpet, while the enticing aroma of freshly brewed coffee beckoned her toward the kitchen. Cole leaned against the counter, his broad back turned toward her. As he stirred his coffee, his shoulders swayed in a rhythmic dance, evoking memories of how their lips had intertwined the night before. Elise quickened her pace upon witnessing the unexpected sight before her. With a graceful sway in her hips and the soft fabric of her nightgown brushing against her legs, she entered the kitchen, exuding an air of confidence. "Greetings, Cole, and a fine morning to you." Her soothing voice contrasted sharply with the tumultuous energy surging within her. He turned his head, a slight twitch at the corner of his mouth as he beheld her standing there, hair tousled and skin glimpsed through the delicate drapes. "Morning," he grunted, and that solitary sound conveyed a multitude of unspoken thoughts. Elise glided by him, her fingers grazing his shoulder with a delicate touch. Her body lingered against his for a moment, a silent declaration of intent, as if to mark her territory. His chest rose and fell with each sharp inhalation and exhalation, yet he remained silent. He merely redirected his attention to the coffee, his fingers tightening their hold on the mug. The day unfolded with an escalating tension, palpable and intense, far more tangible than the Florida humidity clinging to the windows. Elise danced through the house in delicate attire, an unwitting enchantress. Cole endeavored to dismiss her every motion as a captivating melody, his focus oscillating between his tasks and the enticing allure that danced around him. They gathered once more for dinner, yet this time they nibbled at their food, as if the main course of their unspoken emotions held greater significance than the appetizer. As they sipped their drinks, the conversation flowed more easily, drifting into the realm of past relationships. What began as a light-hearted topic soon morphed into a tapestry woven with double entendres and playful innuendos. "Do you recall that fellow, Tyler?" In hushed whispers we dubbed him One Pump Chump. Elise chuckled softly, raising her glass to her lips once more, her eyes glinting with playful intrigue. "Perhaps you could impart some knowledge to him." Cole sputtered on a glass of wine, hastily wiping his mouth with the back of his hand. His eyes burned with a fierce intensity, a storm of anger brewing within them. "I can't recall that nickname, yet it seems he was merely a victim of misfortune. It's unfortunate that their time together was so brief," she playfully teased him, her knee brushing against his beneath the table. "It was no mere accident." His expression revealed an inner conflict, a battle between desire and reluctance. "All right, Elise, I have no doubt that you could impart some knowledge to him as well, couldn't you?" As she leaned in, her cleavage drew attention, rendering her proposition unmistakably clear. "I suppose I could give it a shot, but I believe you excel far beyond my efforts." In that fleeting moment, Cole's breath faltered, and he found himself on the verge of reaching across the table to seize her hand. Yet he restrained himself, his fingers clutching the fork with such intensity that one could scarcely believe the metal remained unbent. "Elise proposed that we indulge in a film following our dinner." Without hesitation, Cole consented. The prospect of a respite from their escalating tension was enticing to them both. They found themselves side by side on the plush couch, their thighs gently brushing against one another. Gazing at the screen, their thoughts wandered elsewhere. The couple in the movie shared an undeniable chemistry, infusing the film with a sizzling charm that defined its romantic comedy essence. In the midst of a sultry moment, Elise's hand, ostensibly reaching for the wine glass resting on the coffee table, brushed against Cole's arm, sending a jolt of electricity between them. He gazed at her, his eyes brimming with longing. The facade of composure he had maintained throughout the day was beginning to crumble. This must come to an end. In a heartbeat, he set his glass aside and drew her near, capturing her lips with his own. The kiss was fierce and insistent, and his lips ached from the desire to consume rather than to wander. Elise surrendered to his embrace, matching his ardor with her own intense devotion. She wove her fingers through his hair, igniting a spark of longing, as their tongues engaged in a silent battle for dominance. The film continued to unfold, the soundtrack merely a faint backdrop to the harsh sounds of their labored breaths, and the whisper of fabric as they surrendered to one another's touch. They craved the warmth of flesh upon flesh, to devour and be devoured. Once their hands began to explore, seeking knowledge and grasping for something tangible, the scene shifted, drawing them once more into the realm of reality. They shattered, breaths ragged, lips tender and bruised, eyes brimming with longing. Cole's hand lingered in the air, mere inches from Elise's face, caught in a moment of indecision between rekindling their connection or retreating to the safety of distance. Her hand mirrored his, suspended like a celestial being on the brink of chaos, fingers arching toward the allure of his caress. A palpable tension lingered in the atmosphere, a delicate balance between past events and the unfolding future that awaited them. Their gazes intertwined, and the stillness of the room posed a question that neither was prepared to confront. In their union, passion erupted, a force as primal and untamed as the ocean's waves. With a fervent and urgent kiss, Cole's lips met Elise's, releasing the depths of their yearning. Though her hunger gnawed at her hands explored the firm contours of his chest, feeling the muscles tighten beneath her touch. He emitted a low growl, a sound that resonated more with the wild than with humanity. He held her close, the space between them charged and electrified. The delicate lace of her bra caressed her skin, a whisper of sensation that lingered in the air. She lingered in his embrace, unsure whether to pull away or draw closer, that rendered refusal unthinkable. They moved as one, each gesture deepening the emotional gravity between them, each thrust and grind transforming into a primal dance of instinctual desires. The coarse fabric of his jeans brushed against her delicate skin, intensifying the sensation and igniting a fervent longing within her. They surrendered to the moment, letting passion override hesitation, yearning for the liberation of flesh against flesh. Their bodies radiated heat as their hands explored every inch of one another, tracing each curve, slope, and hollow, seeking to understand the desires of the other through the language of touch. Cole drew her near, his teeth grazing the delicate skin within her ear. His breath lingered, warm and tantalizing, against her neck. "I'm losing my mind for you," he murmured, his voice thick with longing. With a sudden ferocity, she sank her teeth into his ear, her fingers gliding over his chest, igniting a shiver that coursed through him. "And you drive me wild," she purred, her words a tantalizing mix of challenge and promise. As they delved further, their lips and fingers discovered fresh delights. As they twirled in fervent embrace, the sofa beneath them creaked under the burden of their affection. Cole's hands glided down her legs with a tantalizing touch that sent shivers through her, pausing only when they reached the button of her jeans. He fell silent and leaned in to whisper. As he moved, his lips ignited a trail of warmth from her jaw, cascading down her neck and resting at her collarbone. "Do you truly believe that?" she murmured in response. "Indeed." She locked her gaze with his, a tumultuous blend of fear and desire swirling within her. With unwavering confidence, he deftly pressed the button with his fingers. He then slipped his hands inside to explore her intimately. As his lips met hers, a gasp escaped her, and she instinctively arched her back, her hands gripping his shoulders tightly. Every touch seemed to echo through her, stirring something deep within. The air was thick with her soft gasps, each inhalation a yearning for deeper connection. As he gently guided her to the brink of ecstasy, he decelerated and lifted her just as she teetered on the brink of plunging into the depths of ecstasy. His eyes held a depth that hinted at untold secrets. He spoke in a gravelly whisper, "Not yet, not here," yet his tone betrayed a deep yearning. She leaned into him, laughter bubbling as tension melted between them, a delightful blend of longing and rebellion. He remained still, a figure of strength, as she delicately removed his garments. Their hands intertwined, a manifestation of longing and yearning. They ascended the stairs in a hurried rush, their bare forms entwined, and the intensity of their desire pushed everyone aside. The bedding stirred beneath them, akin to soft, encouraging murmurs. In the sanctuary of their mutual longings they drew near, enveloped in an intimate closeness. Their bodies intertwined in a delicate ballet of intimacy and distance. The soft, golden glow of the bedroom embraced them as they leapt onto the bed. Their movements were a graceful tempest of unspoken desires. He gazed into her eyes, both of them caught in the storm of emotions her own spirit, sending Elise's heart into a frantic rhythm. As their lips met, they bound themselves to a vow of infinite delight. In the interim, their bodies carried on the dialogue that had begun in the hallway and the lounge beneath. In their gentle caress, their touch conveyed the unspoken desires that words failed to capture, revealing the depth of their longing for one another. Cole adjusted his stance, leaning closer to her, as they sank further into the plush embrace of the mattress. She welcomed him inside, eager for the bond that could only blossom in their shared presence. Their most profound desires and aspirations were revealed. It was a dialogue woven from silence, a language known only to them. The creaking of the bed transformed into a melodic backdrop, perfectly syncing with their escalating rhythm. Every gesture spoke volumes of their affection, a fervent testament to their desire to unite as one. Elise's fingers pressed into Cole's back, a testament to her dedication to the moment. As every breath quickened and each name was softly spoken, their desire intensified. He transformed his approach, and they moved in perfect harmony that only their bodies could comprehend. They had rehearsed the dance in their thoughts countless times, ensuring that each movement was both deliberate and instinctive. The atmosphere resonated with the echoes of their collective journey, their ragged breaths and the occasional labored, yet playful moans that escaped their lips formed the soul melodies in the air. They discovered a rhythm that brought them joy and propelled them deeper into this collective harmony. They both drove one another to the brink. With a fierce growl, Cole surged ahead, his muscles coiled with tension, while Elise's voice pierced the air, sharp and urgent. Following the dance, they lingered in their post-dance embrace, entwined in a tangle of limbs, savoring the warmth of their shared joy. Elise gazed into Cole's eyes, holding his gaze as though she sought the concealed truths nestled within their souls. Cole's fingers glided gently along the curve of her face, a soft gesture meant to soften the weight of the moment they were experiencing together, a fleeting respite from the harsh truths of recent events. What actions did we undertake? His voice brimmed with longing, a palpable urgency, and a subtle threat of concern as he whispered. Elise paused to reflect on her decision, acutely aware of its significance. Her heart raced, a wild rhythm echoing the intimacy of their embrace, a poignant reminder that life had irrevocably changed. Cole, it seems we are both aware that having made our decision, there is no turning back now. His hand enveloped hers with a steady hold, while his expression flickered through a tapestry of feelings. Indeed, but wasn't that the very desire we both harbored from the beginning? As he spoke, she merely nodded, acknowledging the intricate consequences of their actions and the reality that they had ventured into forbidden territory. She understood that the fulfillment of their cravings rendered the dangers worthwhile. After surrendering with fervor, they discovered a newfound equilibrium. Through the silent exchange of emotions, they reached a profound understanding that the fervent connection had unveiled. In this moment, their quietude spoke volumes. They postponed confronting the consequences for another day, a burden that weighs heavily upon them. As dawn gradually emerged, it brushed the landscape with gentle hues of gray. This resonated with Elise and Cole's hazy consciousness as they gradually emerged from slumber, their senses gently reawakening from the serene embrace of their dreams. Elise was the first to rise from slumber. She instinctively reached for Cole's arm, which lay heavily across her waist, and traced the contours of his forearm, a quiet testament to the love that had united them. She gradually began to slip from Cole's hold. He let out a soft grunt with each movement, his eyes fluttering open for a fleeting moment. As she dwelled on him, the memories of the previous night surged forth, enveloping her in a haze of drowsiness and bewilderment. Her heart raced, a tumultuous blend of emotions swirling within her. Excitement, fear, and a hint of shame intertwining in a complex dance. Elise quietly emerged from the warmth of her bed, donning Cole's oversized shirt with a sense of comfort. Descending the stairs, the familiar scent of him enveloped her, bringing a sense of comfort. The echoes of the previous night lingered in her thoughts, urging her to glance back, to revisit what had transpired. Yet she maintained her gaze on the wooden stairs beneath her, concentrating on how each step distanced her from the unguarded openness of their mutual closeness. The house was enveloped in a tranquil silence, punctuated only by the rhythmic ticking of the kitchen clock and the soft, persistent hum of the refrigerator. She experienced a fleeting notion that this moment resembled the stillness preceding chaos, the tranquility offering her a respite from the impending emotional tempest and the unvoiced sentiments she sensed approaching. Lost in contemplation, she wandered into the kitchen, her fingers gliding gently over the smooth hardwood floor. As she filled the kettle with water, the sound of Cole's heavy footsteps on the stairs sent a thrill through her heart. Long before she sensed his hand resting gently on the small of her back, she was acutely aware of his presence. The touch was one she recognized, sending a delightful shiver down her spine. Upon joining her, he greeted her with a warm, "Good morning." His voice carried the gravelly remnants of slumber, tinged perhaps with an undertone of something more. Elise nodded in response, her inability to articulate the whirlwind of emotions within her leaving her momentarily speechless. A blend of shame, excitement, and an elusive yearning coursed through her, igniting a tingling sensation throughout her body, sending her thoughts into a dizzying spiral, and awakening a shiver along her spine. They exchanged glances, and an enveloping silence settled between them. It resembled a taut elastic thread, burdened by the weight of unvoiced words, hidden truths, confessions, and a palpable sensuality that seemed poised to overflow with each charged glance. As she busied herself with the ritual of brewing coffee, the familiar tasks provided a sense of stability in a world that had suddenly turned chaotic. As she reached for her coffee, Cole's fingers brushed gently against hers across the counter. It was a feather-like caress, so subtle it might have been a mere accident, yet it ignited a spark of electricity within her. As their gazes intertwined, an unspoken agreement blossomed between them, a mutual pledge to trust and comprehend the shadows of each other's histories, all without uttering a single syllable. Unprepared for the truths lurking in the shadows, they remained oblivious to the implications of their actions, which intertwined their destinies inextricably. They opted to remain in this dubious locale, fully conscious of the raw, pulsing tension that lingered in every interaction. With each passing minute, the weight of indecision grew heavier, a tormenting choice to remain silent, to hold still in the soft glow of dawn, contemplating whether to step forward or retreat from the precipice of this nebulous yet compelling force. Elise and Cole stand at the precipice of a choice, the scent of temptation hanging heavily around them. It leaves us pondering, is this the conclusion of an ardent evening shared, or merely the beginning of a tumultuous journey they cannot reverse?